closing the loop with every client and candidate before I go away to manage their expectations.
How do you actually disconnect? Because disconnection was also a huge thing for you for the Iceland trip, and it seems like to be a really big thing. Other than you're disconnecting from work, but also reconnecting with your spouse, dating with your spouse, or deepening that connection with your spouse. So for someone who has a business that is purely built on connection, like you help people with their careers, right? That starts with relationships. So tell me, what does your disconnection process look like when you're doing this?
It starts off with creating boundaries, and I think that's really important whenever time you want to disconnect, and about boundaries and communication. So what you want to do is, I'm a recruiter, so I have to make sure that I am closing the loop with every client and candidate before I go away to manage their expectations, right? Let's just say I'm leaving on a Saturday, and I spend the Thursday and Friday beforehand making sure I'm communicating with all my clients, saying, listen, guys, here's what's happening. I'm going away. I'm going to be off the grid. Obviously, if it's any emergency, I will be in touch. It may take me a little bit longer to get back to you, but I am shutting down. I will be in touch. Let's talk. Is there anything urgent? Let's take care of it now. Let's address it. If not, it'll be there when we get back. It is as simple as that. And we planned this trip, perfectly, again, during Thanksgiving break. But it comes down to managing expectations and over communicating with clients and candidates to make sure that everyone's on the same page. And everyone respects it. If I ever have a client or candidate that does not respect my boundaries for a vacation, they're not meant to be my client, and I will get rid of them. It's happened once before.
Wow. And how do you have that conversation?
That's a whole other world. Listen, there was a client that I told I was going away, and I managed their expectations, and, it just it wasn't what they wanted to hear. But I told them, everything's in good hands. Your project is going along fine. We are in autopilot mode right now.
Yeah.
You have to respect, everybody needs their time off. And it's hard when you're a solopreneur or a small business owner. It's not like I work for a big company and I'm taking my vacation time.
Yeah.
So it's a double-edged sword. So as a small business owner, I could literally do whatever I want. I could literally go anywhere in this world at any time, and I don't answer to anybody. But on the flip side of that, I need to make sure that I'm delivering to my clients.
Yes, and
you
also
have to be able to manage that and not
yourself.
take advantage of it.
100%.
Exactly.
You mentioned that your favorite part of the trip, even though Florence and Rome, they're the cities to visit, we're typically tourist-wise, but I know with you, Adam, you like to do the local experience and kind of live like a local. But you mentioned the island of Ischia. What made Ischia so special for you?
Yeah, so let me hit the rewind button for a moment here. Just give a quick overview of this trip. So this was summer of 2011. This was right before our daughter was born, and I like to say in the most polite way possible that our daughter was infused with Italian love before she came into this world, and it was a great trip for us. This is the last trip we took before kids, and we made sure to make it an epic adventure. We went for 2 weeks, and we did the touristy stuff in Rome. We went to Florence. We did Tuscany. We did the Tuscany wine region. We went to the Amalfi Coast. We did all that, and everyone knows what happens over there. But the magic was really this small island called Ischia, which is triangulated between Napoli, Capri, and it's a triangle in the Amalfi Coast in the Mediterranean. And I have a buddy. His name is Jeppo, and I met Jeppo back in early 2000s here in New York. He came to visit. We had mutual friends. We hit it off, and he said, anytime you want, come visit. And I took him up on that offer. And we spent 3 days with him and his family on this island. Well, first of all, you got to take the ferry from Naples, or Napoli as the locals call it. And by the way, that is the birthplace of the Napoli pizza that we're all famous with. And there's a pizza place, I always forget the name of it, literally a block away from the marina where you get the boat. So the move is you get there a little bit early, you get the pizza, and then you get on the boat.
Yeah.
And you get this beautiful, it's not even cut up, it's just like this perfect pizza pie. You can't even imagine how good it tastes.
Yeah.
Anyway, you get to this island, and it's probably like the size of Staten Island, maybe a little bit smaller if you're familiar with that. And it's very locals only. It's not a touristy place. It's not. I mean, you get to a lot. Some people take a day trip there. They have beautiful thermal springs, like real thermal springs, that are literally built into the side of the mountain that opens up onto the beach into the Mediterranean. We actually did that at the park. It's called Negumbo. And it's a beautiful natural thermal spring park. You go from spring to spring. But what made this trip special was my friend Jeppo, his family, they took us into his house, in their guest house. They put us up for a few days. They fed us every meal. We sat with them. They really just treated us like family. And then his friends, they really, it's a hospitality. when someone's excited to see you and they use it as an opportunity for themselves to do things in their own town, their own country that they've never done before. So if anybody looks up Ischia, there's this famous castle. You see it if you literally do Google images. This big castle. You take this bridge to get there. It's like a medieval looking thing. And at the top of it is a restaurant. It's not always open. It's kind of like a special reservation only. And my friends that have lived there and grown up there and born there, they have never dined at the top of this castle in their entire life.
Wow.
And they made it a point, and we had a dinner up there. They set it up, and it was just incredible. And it looks over the entire city. And to watch, we experienced something with them in their own country, in their own town for the first time with them. And that's what made that magical, that we experienced it together. Wow. And we just had conversations, all of our similarities, just because we live in New York and they live in Italy, but we're all roughly the same age, talking about raising families and our ambitions and our hopes and our dreams. And I remember that dinner specifically was incredible. And then the next night, one of the guys said, come to our house, and I'm going to cook you my pizza in my backyard. And we sat in that backyard for hours into the night, cooking pizzas, drinking wine, just talking. So that really stood out as just bonding. Again, like be with the locals, make friends, and do that. So Italy goes down is definitely one of our favorite trips for that reason.
You know, you mentioned this a lot about, you know, the traveling like a local and being with locals. And it sounds like the theme of connection is really disconnection for one, but also connection is a huge part of your experience. Do you feel a trip is incomplete if you don't have that time to connect with locals and the people that you're traveling with?
I wouldn't say incomplete because each trip is different, right? And you could have a great trip and not connect with locals, but I've just never done that. Like, I am very extroverted. I make it a point to connect with as many people as I can, talk to locals, shop owners. We don't necessarily have to have, quote unquote friends there. I mean, my wife and I are lucky. A lot of the places we travel to, not counting Iceland, but we have people that we know or people that know people that we know, and make it a point to connect us. And not everybody has those type of relationships, but if you do, I implore you to take advantage of them. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? When we walked around Berlin with our friend's friend, I mean, we just walked. We walked the neighborhood. Yeah. Right? You're not on a tour bus. You're not on that like double-decker tour bus, and you're that person where the locals are looking and you're like, oh shit, look at that tourist over there, right? You don't want to do that. You don't want to be that guy or gal, right? You want to you want to experience it, and I think that's really the magic of travel is the journey and the exploration and the connection and the food.
Yeah.